So you want to roll a Kineticist? Well, here's what you need to know. Didn't think I'd be doing this one so soon, but it's the only class that isn't likely to get remastered soon, so here we are. And if you're watching this after the remaster...
I just wasted 10 seconds of your life.
Kineticists are primal DPS mages who deal exclusively in elemental magic. If you've ever watched Avatar, you get the gist. And yes, I did use the movie poster just to piss off the fandom. They get their power through a direct link to one or more elemental planes called a kinetic gate. Or to give it its proper name, the Gussie. A hole that, when spread open, fills their insides with warm, gushing elemental power. Rather than casting spells, Kineticists channel this power into impulses, which are functionally identical to spells, but they don't require a spell slot. I gotta admit, when I first read about this, I thought it was gonna be unhealthy for the game. Impulses may be a bit weaker than spells of an equivalent rank, except the ones that are literally just spells. But like every dish to a Hawaiian, they are spammable. If you can cast all your spells at their highest power as often as you want, why would you ever play any other caster class? Other than all the other benefits of slotted spells, of course. Then I realized I was defending Vancian spellcasting and had a change of heart. Now I just think of impulses as fancy cantrips and mourn with the psychic over the loss of its gimmick. As a kineticist, you first have to decide whether you're a vanilla romance or ecchi harem fan. The latter doubles your list of impulse options, including a potential menage a trois, while the former gives you a little bonus effect whenever you use an impulse with at least 2 actions. You make a similar choice every 4 levels after, either adding an element to your arsenal or gaining a new junction with an element you already know, including free proficiency and a feat with a specific skill. On a class with Constitution as its key stat. Paizo, you don't actually think Kineticist players use skills, right?
Well, yes.
But you can't use any of your avatar powers unless your Gussie is gaping, which requires you activate your kinetic aura with an action. Once active, this aura allows you to throw out your impulses without a care in the world. Well, actually, 1 care. If you use an overflow impulse, your aura dries up and you have to activate it again. This is the closest Kineticist will ever come to resource management. The bread and butter of every Kineticist is its elemental blast, the range and damage of which varies depending on the element. If you use it in melee, you add your strength to the damage. If you use 2 actions to cast it, you add your constitution. These effects are not mutually exclusive, making this the only ability I'm aware of that lets you add multiple attributes to the damage roll. Combat may be the only thing this class has going for it, but it's going very well. If that's not enough for you, you can give yourself access to more damage types, add some weapon traits, fuse 2 elements together, or chain multiple attacks from a single swing. But wait, there's more. You could swap out any of your impulses during daily prep once you hit level 11, 2 at level 17. You could shorten this to 10 minutes with a feat, or even do it as a single action at level 20. With the right feats, you become a Swiss Army knife that always has the right tool for the job. As long as that job includes hurting people. You'll need to be careful with your feats, however, as they're the main way you get access to impulses. Which impulses, you might ask? Well, that depends on which of the 6 elements you choose to attune with. Air Kineticists focus a lot on mobility, be it from move speed, jump distance, or turning into Kennen from League of Legends. Later on, you gain the power of flight, or turn yourself into the flying lightning hero from your preferred superhero franchise. Or maybe you'd prefer to go in all sneaky-breaky-like, turning invisible and whispering plans to your allies as you skulk into position for a little shock and awe. If you're looking for ways to maneuver around the battlefield, you can't go wrong with air. Oh, and since we're all thinking it.
Toss me. What? I cannot jump the distance, you'll have to toss me.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, Earth is all about making sure everyone stays exactly where you want them to, which is typically within striking distance of a giant fuck-off Earth hammer. From creating difficult terrain, to grabbing people with sand, to straight up Medusaing a motherfucker, Earth Kineticists are like office workers with too many middle managers. There's a lot of CCing. Keep them near you as much as you can, because your defensive options make you rock hard. I do not apologize for that pun. I shouldn't need to tell you what fire does. Fire hurts people, be it all at once or slowly over time. Sure, you can move a bit faster or make some torches, but we all know you picked this element because big damage good and tracking spell slots bad. Even your get-out-of-jail-free impulses do a little damage, letting you zip around the battlefield while blasting enemies from a safe distance. It's also worth noting that you can harm creatures with weakness to sunlight, so the cleric doesn't have to do all the work while fighting whatever legally distinct version of Strahd they have in Golarion. Now, I'll admit I don't know much about chemistry, but I have a sneaking suspicion that whoever picked the damage types for metal doesn't either. Electricity I can almost sorta get since metal is conductive, but point to me on the periodic table the metals that are acidic. Is it supposed to be mercury? I know it can poison you, but not that fucking quickly. Metal is probably my least favorite element. It has a bit of tankiness and some situational crowd control, but most of its impulses are just variations of throwing pointy things. I guess the crafting stuff is kinda cool. 3 actions and boom, free adamantine sword. Go nuts, fighter. The water element is for the wannabe support casters, protecting allies and pushing enemies away from said allies. This is one of the few elements that actually lets you heal allies, though they only work every 10 minutes so as not to render actual healers totally irrelevant. Assuming your friends don't get more than 3 boo-boos per combat, you could spend the rest of your time battering enemies with crowd control on top of some decent damage. The only part I disagree with is the aura junction. I grew up in a humid climate. That shit makes heat worse than the fire it prevents. And last, but the opposite of least, is the wood element. You want a tank? How about free armor, temp HP every turn, and a tree to play Get Down Mr. President with? You want healing? We got snacks, spices, and vampiric roots. Want to commit biological warfare? We got that too, you sick bastard! Whatever role the party needs, you can't go wrong with giving them a little wood. Still not sorry for the puns. So there you have it. An endlessly customizable class for any playstyle that fits into any party. Just ignore any niggling voices in the back of your head screaming power creep and enjoy your bending shenanigans.
It is even funnier the second time.